Yeah, when I was a young man, God, I always forget to put this speaker in there. When I was a young man, I got lucky, and the angels came and took me out of my body, and off I went. And uh, I remember kind of. Well, I won't go into a lot of detail, but I was in kind of a. I remember that I was in kind of a sky type place. There were clouds. I was looking, kind of looking on some clouds, and it was nice. Pretty. It was okay. It was all right. Yeah, and the two angels, because I apparently couldn't, kind of navigate on my own, so I needed, I had one on each side of me, so they were kind of, and by the way, they didn't have wings. They had a little kind of rotary thing inside of them, and that's how it kind of spun around or something like that. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but it was round, and it was in the center, kind of in the center of their tall. And they were a little remote too. These two guys now. Uh, some of the angels, I'm pretty sure that I've experienced are just marvelous creatures. But these two were kind of remote, or maybe I was remote. Maybe they were just reflecting me. I don't know. Maybe they're nice guys. But anyhow, they took me off, and so at some point I was going to go somewhere. So the sky thing, the sort of static thing, that wasn't it anymore. And now it was like we were going. I don't know if it was the darkness of space. It wasn't like the physical universe, so it was like the physical universe, but it was something on the other side, essences, I suppose. And so there were some worlds you could see, and there was this kind of pretty large size, good sized world, not too big, not just pretty nice looking place. I mean, there was some light around it and things, and it looked, pretty okay, and looked like we were headed for that world. We were, I was apparently gonna, go there, and that was fine with me. I also noticed off in the distance, pretty, not too far away, but somewhere there was another world there, and it was kind of smaller, and it was darker. Oh, definitely darker place. Yeah, that didn't look too good. I didn't really think, it wasn't a place you'd choose. Oh yeah, let's go and eat here. I don't think you would, So I got scared, and when I got scared, the fear, because I didn't have my body, so I could see the fear kind of rose up in me. It was rising up in me, and the angels did a funny thing, and they had a lot of control and power, those angels. So they kind of that round thing. I think this is what happened. As far as I can remember, it was like from awfully long time ago. What's it? 50 years ago. 50 years ago, right? 50. No, it was more like 45 years ago or something like that. I was a young man, healthy young man. And so that thing kind of spun inside of them more, and it just kind of took the fear and just kind of went right back down again. So they controlled my fear. I didn't freak out, and they took me to this place, and they left me there, and I was there for, as I recall, what I remember it was quite a while, like 12 weeks or something. It was a long time. It seemed like not super long, but pretty long time. And it was kind of an odd, you know, it's kind of like, there were people there, and everything was very regulated. I mean, I had some sort of strange. I consider it to be a pretty strange job. I mean, I had some place I was living there, and you know, the deal was that every day you would get up, and they would dress you in this kind of cloth, but it was sort of like an armor of some kind. It was some kind of outfit that, I mean, it had sort of flowing robes, and there was something like robes about it, some way, as I recall. And they were like, it was like an armor, and then there was also, they put a thing over your face like a mask, and it was like a mask, and probably an armored mask. Uh, you know, I wish I was like Betty 80 and I could remember things more clearly, but I can't. So there it is. But I do remember, the gist of the thing. And then they'd give you a weapon, and it was all very normal. I mean, this was like what everybody did. And you would take your sword, and you would go and you would fight another person with a mask on and stuff like that. And I don't know, you would kill them or they would kill you or something, that kind of thing. But I mean, you keep coming back every day. But you did this. This is what you did. You were fighting using your sword. You were fighting with these people. And so this is a little, but it would have been more grim if, but everybody's perfectly normal. It's, you would think, well, that was, I mean, that's, yeah, okay, you ready? Let's go. Okay, there you go. That's your deal. So, but the thing, so I was happy enough, when I finally left there. Uh, but the thing I remember about that world that I thought, and I remembered it very distinctly, and it's a little hard to describe, but I'm going to try to describe it. What it was it was kind of like the Earth, there was Earth there, and and but there wasn't the sky. It was like a kind of, it was as if you were in a big auditorium. I mean, a really like like the Astrodome or some kind of big thing like that. Where there was a definite limit. There was a kind of a covering over. It was pretty, it wasn't cramped or anything, but it wasn't anything like the Earth, and it was. So basically, from my point of view, they didn't have a sky. They had some sort of atmosphere, but it was very close yet. Pretty close yet. Say like maybe I don't know, half a mile or something, or less, something like that. You can maybe get a picture, kind of a domed Earth, like if the Earth was had a kind of, and that wasn't, you know, but I noticed right away that the people there was a lot of people there, quite a few people, and they didn't pay any, they didn't notice anything about this kind of limited sky that they had. I get, and so I surmised, I realized, whether it was a true realization or not, I realized that, well, they don't even know what, that's their world, and so they live there, and so then they don't have, that's, that's reality to them. I mean, they don't know anything about some big vast sky. That thing they have, that works for them, and they accept it. They don't question it at all. And say, "Oh, I wish we had a bigger sky." I never had that thought. So besides the sort of bizarre murdering, whatever we were doing, fighting each other, it happened get up every day, and I remember I'd go lie down on this surface, and rest or whatever I'd do, and then I'd do it again. Besides that bizarre sort of thing, the main thing I remember, is about that funny sky, And so, I won't tell you any more about my adventures there, but, eventually I got back home here, this is home. And, when I got back, I wasn't able to have the direct memory because when I came into my body, it kind of, the soul, the vessel of my body was so full of whatever, forces and things that I couldn't really, but they gave me a memory, of it. I mean, I still have, have that memory, the memory of it. So, so it's like that. So that's I remember, and somebody might be thinking I'm making this up. Well, I'll tell you what. I would stake my life on it right here and now. This was a real experience I had. It wasn't a dream, it wasn't a vision. I went out and I did these things, and I staked my life on it. So that's how I feel about that. Something happens to you, why deny it? Why apologize for it? And I got lucky, and I got to go out and see these things for better or for worse. And I wasn't a very. I'm going to get into details. Anyway, that's what happened. So later on, of course, I told some of my friends about my experience, and I mentioned about the sky and the funny people who, how funny, how odd it was, what they did there, and I didn't relate it to anything. And as the years went by, I started to realize, well, it's kind of funny because here on the earth, as I read more and more, studied more and more, looked and became more and more aware of what's actually going on here, I found that, my gosh, it seems to be kind of the business. I mean, it's not the stated, it's not the purported business of the earth, but it's kind of a thing that does happen, doesn't it? I mean, it seems like the business of the people on the earth here is pretty much they get dressed up and they go kill each other every day. And if they're not killing somebody, they just don't. It's just not normal. I mean, they've got to be off killing somebody somewhere in the world. Where people they get dressed in the morning. And so but at first I didn't associate that. I thought, it's like I thought my first thought was, well, it's like the mafia. They do that. They killing and murdering. That's part of their everyday life. I mean, that's what they do. Apparently, whatever the messengers of God said to them about this stuff hasn't really phased them very much, or they feel, I don't know, I suppose they feel they take care of their own righteous. Maybe they feel righteous, they have their own justice, and I'm not going to. But anyway, so at first I used to associate that experience with the mafia, and I thought, oh, that's really, it's like something I kind of didn't notice before, but now that it's been pointed out to me, I kind of started to notice. Sure, that's what the mafia does, and then later I started to think, well, sure, that's what they do here. It's like that dark world I went to. It was kind of, you know, get up, they train armies and teach people how to kill and think nothing of it. It's like, yeah, get out there, shoot those people. See, there's a few people, of course, that are just, don't like this, mothers and human type beings, think this is ridiculous, and such a huge waste. My God, to waste a creature of God like that, all that work that goes into it. Oh, but a lot of people, yeah, sure, there's a war. Well, we'll have to lose so many men, blah blah blah. And today we lost 100,000, but we gained our. They're always gaining some piece of land that they then lose later. It's kind of endless, isn't it? It seems to be. I don't want to be depressing, but I mean, so there that was. So then, but I didn't think about the sky much anymore. And then, about a year ago,